Okay, here I go. Let's mute that bad boy. No, I still have echo. Okay, I'll just take these out. I know, I'm not really sure what the blurry is, but hello, welcome to Monday Night Live. I fixed the sound thing. So tonight I am actually streaming out to not only Facebook, but to YouTube also with my big old blurry head. Sorry about that. I know. And it was working just fine just a couple of minutes ago. And then it went blurry. And for me to just stop and try to figure out what it's doing, no, that's a whole project in and of itself. So thank you. Yes, Cindy, I'm very blurry. It just seems like there's something every week. Okay, so before I kind of open up the lines and make it so that everyone can ask questions, I will be doing readings here in a couple of minutes. I just want to kind of do a little introduction, give people a way to come into the room, and then we'll get started and get down to business. So today, okay, you guys have to stop talking because I'm just going to watch it. So today I'm going to be talking about mindfulness. And so what is mindfulness? And mindfulness is about paying attention to the things that we do. I want to say it's a kind of meditation, but it's not a meditation in the like, sitting on a mountain, with music playing in the background. But it's about focusing our attention and raising our awareness to what we're doing, what we're thinking, what we're feeling, how we're behaving. So one of the things about mindfulness is it brings us back into the present moment. So what is the present moment? The present moment is the here and now. It's you're not in the present moment when you're worrying about the future. You're not in the present moment when you're ruminating about the past. When you're in the present moment, you're here and now. And we've all spent time where we have been in that state. Whether it is we've gone to the gym and had a really great exercise. Oh, God, I'm just going to laugh. Really good exercise workout, or we're out in nature and we just feel really good and we can feel the air on our skin and we just feel whole and present and like we can conquer the entire world. So why is mindfulness so important? So one of the things about mindfulness, like any kind of meditative practice, is it calms and relaxes the body. Because when you're worried or when you're ruminating about something, it's like the body can't relax. You are caught in a stress response, whether that be fight, flight, or fear, which keeps you in an anxious, agitated state and not in the relaxed presence of yourself. And so when you're grounded, you are here in the here and now. And from that place, we have the ability to make better choices. One of the things that happened, and I like using COVID because I think it was it was something everyone experienced. And I don't even think it was something that everyone experienced, that there was this level of fear that was going on. Oh my God, what if I get COVID? Oh my God, what about this? Oh my God, what about my mom? Oh my God, what about this? And that worry keeps us out of being able to be one with ourselves. It keeps us in a place where we can't make good decisions because our mind and our whole psyche is too wrapped up in everything else that's going on. And so when we make decisions and make choices, we tend to make them from a skewed place, from that place of fear, from that place of worry, from, wherever that is. And when we're in that space, we don't know what to do, and we tend to run around like a chicken with our head cut off. And we go and we look for a solution to the problem, even though it might not be the best solution for us. Because when we're in that anxiety state, it's very challenging for us to look inside and have a external perspective on what's going on. But when you're in the here and now, when you begin a practice of mindfulness and get in the here and now, it is much easier to interact with yourself and the world around you. So you can make better choices. From this place, it's also easier to observe yourself and observe your life. So if things aren't going really well, perhaps taking a step back, taking a mindful approach and start looking at your thoughts. Take a moment and look at your emotions, or perhaps look at your behaviors that might be creating problems in your life, and use that observation to help you come up with a new solution to solve them. I have found mindfulness and this whole practice, this is a fairly, I'm going to say it's a fairly new one for me, or one that has, I'm a lot out of focus, Dave. But I'm always out of focus. Actually, I'm not out of focus. Y'all are just out of focus and you can't see me real well. That's it. I'm not taking ownership of anything. But when you're in this space and you can observe yourself, it takes you out of the emotional energy of it. And it's kind of like you can almost watch yourself on TV and go, oh my God, did I really do that? One of the things that I worked on a lot in 2020, and I'm continuing to work on, is to monitor my thoughts and get rid of negative, funky thoughts. And as part of that, one of the things that I came to realize was that I complain a lot, and it makes me laugh. So in Yiddish, the word is kvetch, which means bitch. And not like in like that person's a bitch, but as in complain. And I come from a family of professional kvetchers. You meet any of my brothers and sisters and, they kind of have a market on it. And I thought I had done a lot of work and wasn't really that negative. But when I started paying attention to how much I complained, I was kind of aghast at the whole thing. So that's a practice that I'm being more mindful of. And they do. It's genetic, Phil or Mr. Duffy. Anyway, see, I have to not look at these things because they make me laugh and make me want to make commentary. One of the other things that mindfulness does, because it's kind of a meditation practice, is it gives you, it helps you to declutter your mind, because when you stop, when you pay attention to what's going on inside, it creates a pause inside of you. Kind of like when you're angry and they suggest that you count to 10, that counting to 10 is a mindfulness practice, because you have to focus on 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., before you get to 10. And that creates that space so you can make more conscious choices about how you want to act. One of the other things is that when you get rid of some of the clutter that's in your psyche and in your mind, and create some space where there's some room, it opens you up to spirit. So whether you consider that God or Jesus or spirit guides or whoever, whatever you want to call it, it makes it so that you can recognize that voice inside of you and use it to help direct you forward in your life. And so I'm going to share, I talked about counting to 10, but to me, one of the most basic mindfulness practices is breathing. We don't really give breathing a whole lot of credit, but the reality is it is the only physiological system in the body that we have both conscious and unconscious control of. So obviously, when we're sleeping, we do not have conscious control over our breath, but in any given moment, we can stop and intentionally breathe. And so when you do mindful breathing, you sit there and you pay attention. And many of the techniques that are offered suggest that you do certain things. So the one that I personally like is actually talked about by Dr. Andrew Weil, and it's the 4-7-8 breath. So you breathe in for 4, hold it for 7, counting, and then exhale it for 8. And you want each of those pieces to be the same length. And so I'm just going to speed this up for camera time. So in for 4, hold it for 7, and then exhale for 8. And if you just focus on that piece, it allows all of the worry and all of the stress and all of the clutter to drain off. But the key is the focus on that. One of the other things, oh, that's right. I have all my YouTube people on here. Hi, YouTube people. One of the things about the breathing is you can just breathe in and out. You can do what's called a box breath. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. So that would be breathing. But anything that focuses your mind is a mindfulness thing. And I joke around that when my kids were young and they were making me really crazy, I would go and I would clean. And because it was a very mindfulness thing for me, and it helped me burn off energy. And depending on how they were, would depend on how clean my house was. So, raking leaves, cleaning a tub, washing dishes, scrubbing a floor, and when you get focused on it, you can have a very OC kitchen. You can get all that little dirt in the corners and get everything. And the more you focus you are, literally, the more release you're going to have. Dancing the same way, etc., because it's about focusing the mind on one thing. That is mindfulness. Okay, I've talked enough. For anyone out there that's worrying, yes, I'm blurry. I don't know why I'm blurry. This is a brand new camera. It was working just up until I started, and I have absolutely no idea why it is funky, but it is. And so I'm going to kind of scroll through the questions and commentary, see what all's going on. Again, this is my first time streaming to YouTube. I have a lot of followers on YouTube, so I'm really excited that it's working. So hi, YouTube people. I don't know why I'm blurry, but thank you for showing up today. I'm going to open up the phone line, the chat line for people that want to ask questions. If you do have a question, if you can put it all in caps, I do have the ability to post the question up on the screen. Let's see. So River suggested that she would like a reading. So River, I don't know if you posted a question further down, but I am scrolling. So Ufi suggests that the universe wants you to remind me that the engine that runs it is random chaos. Yeah, thanks. Hi, Ufi. Hi, Jacqueline. Hey, Veronique. Hi, Jonathan. All right, blind dog. So can you see me clearly? You know, it's like the commentary was going out about the camera being blurry, but I thought, oh, there's blind dog. Maybe I look clear to him. Sorry. Hey, Miss Narcy. Hey, Dave Perry. Oh, looks normal to you. Okay, yeah. All right, Mr. Duffy suggests I need a TED Talk. All right, I don't know how the heck you get one of those, but that would be kind of fun. All right. All right, so this is kind of funny. If we're complaining too much, get a different job or get a different relationship. But if something is wrong in the world, complaining is what we do. We complain about everything, you know, and it would be really hard to fire myself. So that would be kind of hard. But we complain about everything. We complain about the traffic. We complain about poor customer service. We complain about bad Wi-Fi connection. We complain. If there's something to complain about, we will find it to complain about. Uh, okay, so I'm just reading. So, hey, Ken, thank you. He says, great to see you. Love your channel. If you have a question or anybody that's there, you know, please feel free to put it on the comment and I will keep scrolling. So Mr. Duffy has a massage in an hour and he'll be doing mindful breathing. So I started taking a yoga class and let me tell you, I do a lot of breathing during yoga. Yes, Ken. So Ken posted, oh God, we already have a bot person. Okay, hang on, Ken, I'm going to come back to you. Okay, so if there's a bot person in here, I like to like torment them. And so if everybody could just tell them to shut up and go away. Okay, so Dave Perry, okay, send me a friend request for a private reading now because I really have seen some important spirit messages for you. Man, I should bring Spooky in here. So Tishana, or whatever your name is, maybe you need a reading. That would be pretty good. Oh, wait, she's back again. River, maybe you need a reading. I don't think so, ma'am. You need to just go away. Oh, Narcy, maybe you need a reading. Oh, these people annoy the hell out of me. Yay. Okay, so I don't have anybody asking for a reading. Well, that kind of sucks. All right, I'm going to go back to Ken's comment about active and passive meditation, because that's a good talking point, fits in with what we're talking about. You know, so active meditation is what I was talking about, going out and raking the leaves, going for, you know, a good exercise workout, you know, going out in the woods and walking around. One of the things that I really enjoyed, which kind of to me sat on the line, was going fishing. I mean, my friends think that it's kind of weird that I enjoy fishing, but it's not. The fishing was just something to do while I was meditating, you know, because as they say, the tug is the drug. And so you can sit there and just like la 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 with your arms, eyes closed, and just working on your breathing until you feel the pull. And then the tug is the drug. And so it was kind of a win-win situation for me because I would always come back feeling really good. And when you're fishing, you're outdoors and you got the fresh air and the sunshine. Again, win-win-win situation for me. No, I never did put the worm on the hook. I'm much more of a like minnow kind of hot dogs. Did anybody ever fish with hot dogs? It really works good to catch fish. Anyway, just saying. Now, passive meditation is what most people are used to. You know, seeing the guru sitting on the mountaintop, you know, doing a lotus position with their legs, clearing their mind or repeating a mantra or doing some kind of internalized work. And that is passive medication. Yeah, that's passive medication. Passive meditation. And for a lot of people, especially Westerners, it can be kind of hard because it really is a practice. I mean, keeping your house clean is a practice too, but working enough to keep your mind, to quiet your mind, and really get into a deep passive meditation state really does take some work, but it is worth the effort, and the benefits that you would get far outweigh the time it takes you to get into the flow of things. And maybe I will come back to that. Okay, River. All right, scrolling down. River wants a reading. All right, River, where is your question? I don't think River wants a reading. All right, so River, if you had a question, if you could repost it after whatever Ms. Bot person um, has posted. Hey, Nancy, spammer. Russell Simmons. I don't know who Russell Simmons is. You know, I've never done transcendental meditation. There are so many different meditation techniques that you can use. There's a woman named Esther Hicks who channels a spiritual entity called Abraham, and she recommends just focusing your attention on something mundane, the hum of the refrigerator, the buzzing noise from the air conditioner. You know, it doesn't have to be some major system. You know, some people like to focus on a candlelight. Oh, so Blind Dog says Russell Simmons is actually the guy who started Def Jam Records. Never would have known. I mean, at first I thought you meant, um, I want to say Roger Simmons, you know, the exercise, Gene Simmons. No, I'm shutting up. Okay, so Cheryl. So Cheryl wants to know what kind of questions you need for a reading. So Cheryl, you can ask anything you want. I don't talk about dead people, and I don't predict the future. So if you can ask something fairly specific, you know, and if I don't like it and I need more specifics, I will ask. If you are asking about someone else, if you can include their first name and or their relationship to you, I would really appreciate that. Okay, so Ken says, I practiced TM since high school in 78. I read Maharishi's book, TM, and then found a Hindu teacher who was teaching out of their home to teach me then technique. Cool, so you must be like all elevated. Okay, so Philemon Jonah, I don't know why you want River to inbox you, but if you're wanting him to inbox you so that you can give him a private reading, then you need to go as well. Man, spammers. Okay, Cheryl, so I'm ready for you. Nancy, do you have a question for me? Yeah, so Nancy, earlier we were talking about mindfulness. And so I thought having a mindful background would be good. All right, so I'm testing. I found out that I can post in here. So let me know if you see my post. Wow. Okay, so let me know if you see my post. Anyway, um, you know, but I'm going to put this out there. You know, I have meditated for years. I mean, maybe not as a regular daily practice, but it has been a part of my life. Okay, so Cheryl, you put health. So can you be a little more specific, kind of throw a body part out at me, you know, or what kind of a symptom that you're having? so I can, we have a lot of moving parts. And so it would be helpful if you could identify what your concern is. Okay. God, this is so blurry. You know what's interesting is it's blurry, but I'm not like super funky, glitchy today, which is interesting. Okay. All right, I was talking about something. Oh, meditation. So I have meditated. Perfect. All right, let me finish what I'm going to say, and then I will get to you, Cheryl. I have meditated most of my adult life, but I have found the practice of mindfulness has really changed a lot of things because you can meditate, but there's no attention, there's no awareness on what's going on inside. Yes, I'm a lot blurry, but it makes me look hot and sexy. Anyway, it makes it so that you can focus on what's inside. And so if you become aware and mindful of your thoughts, you can notice how negative your thoughts are or how positive your thoughts are. So I'm working on a new book, and a piece of research that I found was something to the effect of 80% of our thoughts are negative. 80%. Now, who would have even thought that? Um, and the only way to sit there and shift that is to start paying attention to your thoughts so that you can identify where they're negative, why they're negative, and you can work to change them. So that's one of the things. You haven't seen my comment. Okay, I thought I would try. So that's one of the really good things about mindfulness is that it puts you into the observer position so you can see what's going on, and from that place make changes. Okay, so Cheryl's question was about weight loss and diabetes. Okay. Well, I mean, the first thing that I'm going to make the comment on, Cheryl, is that I am not feeling like you get a lot of activity in your daily life. And so your metabolism seems pretty slow and low. Um, I feel like your blood sugar, I mean, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want, but I feel like your blood sugar tends to be kind of all over the place versus having it be fairly level. I mean, obviously, our blood sugar is going to spike somewhat when we eat, but it just seems like it's kind of out of control. And so, if you're taking medication, there might be some underlying issue going on with that. But just looking at it on the surface, and this is so not me, but I feel like this would be better for you, is to eat a number of very small, and I mean very small meals throughout the course of the day to kind of keep your blood sugar at, kind of the same level. Obviously, and I'm sure you've heard this, and hopefully you've incorporated this, uh, consuming proteins and eliminating the sugars, which include, sugar, a lot of fruit, white flour, any of your grains, because they will make your blood sugar kind of go crazy. Soft drinks, anything like that. Something that's more like a keto-ish type diet, but still include, the vegetables. Fruits tend to have a lot of sugar in them. And so many times, just one piece of fruit is recommended every day. I'm not a big fruity. It messes with my blood sugar too much. So I tend to not eat any. Okay. Um, and I would like to challenge you, since we have been talking about mindfulness for you to pay attention and become mindful about how much you're eating. I feel like there's a certain level of unconscious eating that's happening versus being mindful of eating. When you're mindful of eating, things that are recommended is that you only eat while you're sitting at the table. You put your food on a plate. You don't eat out of the bag. You don't stand in front of the refrigerator and munch, or in the pantry and you grab a cookie and walk around the house. And then paying attention and consciously chewing, which will slow down your digestion and make it so that you're fuller first. Um, I'm going to leave it there. If you have a follow up or want to validate or tell me I'm full of crap, that's fine. Put that in the post below. Um, yeah, I'm going to move on. Okay. All right. All right, so Ken wants to know, have you heard of Paramahansa Yogananda and his book about Kriya Yoga called Autobiography of a Yogi? I read it back in the 70s and just bought a copy to read again. Yes, I have a copy of that in my library currently, and actually studied at Ananda for a year where he was the guru for that group. And it added to my belief that if you were enlightened, you would have psychic abilities as a byproduct. But I found out that you didn't have to be enlightened. You just had to be psychic and practice doing psychic-y things to be psychic. But it was a really interesting book. And you're right. I think I should go read that one again. All right, so Blind Dog has a question, and now I'm just wondering if it's going to be a funny question or not. Should I give up the whole music thing and pursue a career in the custodial arts? So I'm really not sure what he means by custodial arts is. Let's see. Let's just look it up. Okay, that's really not helping me at all. Okay. Well, Blind Dog, I think that first you should get the bionic eyes that were advertised on Facebook today. I think that would be great. Um, I don't think that you can, I don't really know what custodial arts means. So I'm just going to let that slide by. But I don't know what you would do if you weren't doing music. I feel like you would do it anyway. You would just end up doing it for free instead of for money. So you might as well just stay doing it for money, because then at least you're getting paid for doing something that you love. How's that? Okay, moving on. Okay, so Ken posted, I was a follower of Enkinar, the ancient science of soul travel, for several decades. That's cool. All right, and okay, so Cheryl, I can't really see memes or smiles or anything. I apparently only get text. So, so I guess I did okay. Okay. So, all right. So I went through the whole scroll, and I am ready and open for any other questions you might have. All right. So Blind Dog and Ken, you all have your own little conversation there. Anyway, but I'm ready for some questions. We got 25 more minutes. Maybe I should just be mindful. So when I move into I'm going to say meditative place, whether I'm doing a mindfulness practice, whether I'm meditating, whether I'm doing energy work on a client, one of the things that happens to me is that I yawn. And I always have to warn my clients in advance that while I'm working on you, I will probably start yawning. And, and it's not that I'm tired, I'm just yawning because one of the things that happens is when you start moving your energy and getting in the flow, it allows what you're hanging on to in your body and in your psyche to release. And so that's my body's way of releasing. So when I was studying at the Berkeley Psychic Institute, there were apparently there are other ways that a body can release. There were the burpers, which wasn't too bad, but then there were a couple that were farters, and that was just plain stinking, pun intended, nasty. Thankfully, they were few and far between, and thankfully also they didn't have like a nasty digestive system so that it would be a really awful, awful situation. So yawning really good. And actually I took Tai Chi and I found it fascinating because we're doing the Tai Chi move. And the instructor, Master Lee, and some of the advanced students, we would be in a pose or a posture, and they would be shaking and shaking. And I thought that was different. And so they're shaking away, and I am yawning and yawning and yawning and yawning. And so one day I decided I was going to shut my grounding down, which is the line of energy that goes from the base of my spine into the earth, better known as a grounding cord. I would shut that down and see what happened. And I started shaking just like these other people, which was very uncomfortable because I could feel all of this energy moving around in my body, but there was no place for it to go. And since they were more advanced, Anna was the instructor who, was the grand master of this certain tradition and blah, blah, blah. I decided I wasn't going to share the fact that they were not grounded at all. But they used to look at me like I was some weirdo, yawning weirdo. And then I went to this Tai Chi retreat, and we were doing this one exercise called the Buddhist palm. And basically, you just stood there with your arms kind of at chest level, holding them up, and you just stand there, which, weird as that may be, it is very effective in shifting your energy. You can even do it watching TV, which was fascinating. And so we're doing this exercise, and there's me yawning, yawning, yawning. And once I start yawning, my eyes start to water, and my nose starts to run, and it can become kind of an ugly thing. Except I realized that I was releasing energy for the entire room because these yawns were like coming from, the bottom of my intestinal tract. And then all the way up and out for a good 45 minutes. And then later that night, we were all talking about the experience, and this guy says, yeah, but then there was that person that yawned the entire time. Hey. That was pretty funny. Anyway, all right, so come on, guys. I need more questions. Did everybody leave? What all is going on? Nancy, no questions. Ken, no questions. Cheryl, do you have another question? Let's see who else was in here. Miss Cindy, you got a question? I know like our spammer people never have a question. Dave, do you have a question? Dave, you always come, but you never have a question. And it can be about anything. You don't even need to have a reading. It just be like a question. Mr. Duffy, any question? Jonathan, Veronique? Oofy, I am open and available. Man, you guys are just killing me tonight. Okay, at least I feel like I'm in a blabby mood. Okay, so let's see, where can I go from here? I don't know. No, she's good. Okay, thanks, Cheryl. I'm glad that you're good. So I hope I answered your question, or that makes sense to you, or I'm hitting. I always love getting feedback. So Ken wants to know if I ever heard of Stevens Sindoni. Nope, not a clue. So I'll just keep moving on. Okay, Nancy. Nancy says that she will, so hopefully she will ask a question. Okay, so let's see. So I was talking about mindfulness. One of the things that mindfulness, if you're the kind of person, um, okay, Lynn, let me finish what I'm going to say, and then I will come right back to you. Um, One of the things that mindfulness is good for, in the same way that meditation is good for, is if you're the kind of person that can't fall asleep at night or has insomnia, and you're laying in bed and your mind is just going crazy. Well, instead of just letting it go crazy, maybe kind of peek in and pay attention to what your mind is trying to say, or spend some time journaling, writing down all those thoughts that are going through your head, because those exercises will slow things down. Because many times our mind will go from, what am I going to have for dinner, to, well, what about this project at work? Oh, my girlfriend's having a hard time over here. Oh, well, I need to take care of this at 10 o'clock. Oh, back to dinner, worrying about the dog, and it will jump all over the place. And sometimes we get caught up in these loops of insane, non-important thoughts that keep our mind going and going and going. And sometimes just writing it down and getting it out of your brain will really help, especially if there's a lot of stuff that you need to do or things that you're worried about. So a lot of times putting it down on a piece of paper will make it so that you can look at it versus feeling like you need to keep it up in your head and not forget about it. Okay, so Nancy will then answer the question and I will answer it. But right now I'm going to get to Lynn. So you have until I'm done with Lynn to ask your question. Okay, so Lynn would like to know, I would like to know whether my son will be okay. His girlfriend has mental health issues and it's a worry about their future, please. So, Lynn, I get the impression that your son is a good man and he is trying everything in his power to make this whole situation work. But I get the impression that the girlfriend is kind of all over the place. And I feel like she says she's going to do the work, she says she's going to get help or whatever, but I'm not feeling trust in what she says. Um, and oh, wait, there's more. Okay, so Lynn says she keeps trying to kill herself as her issues are very deep. He's already had a lot of disappointment from a previous marriage. He wants children, and I'm not sure about this relationship long term. Um, I mean, I think that he needs to just cut and run. I feel like this could just be a relationship of misery for him because I don't feel that she'll be able to live up to or do the things that she says she's going to do, which include taking care of and loving herself. Um, and I can understand, Lynn, why you would be worried about him. I just feel like he is going to take this relationship and let it beat the crap out of him with him trying to make it work. And so, I don't know if he is open to hearing that. I don't get the impression that the girlfriend is particularly open to that his girlfriend is particularly open to working on herself and getting the help she clearly needs, whether that's through counseling, or counseling and medication. If she is trying to commit suicide to take care of her issues, then obviously something more intense needs to happen. But it is not unheard of for people to use the threat of suicide to get attention. Not that it should go ignored. Um, but again, if she's not willing to help herself and that's materialized through her actions, not her words, but her actions, then he needs to take a step back and decide whether he wants to continue with this relationship, because I do feel like it will take everything out of him. And if he thought his marriage was bad, oh, it won't be disappointment. It would be complete and utter burnout on his part. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so James, I don't like do dead people, so I would be happy to answer any other question that you have, but not dead people. Okay, so Cindy, our infamous co-host, wants to know if Facebook will ever get their act together, and my response is probably not. Okay. So Lynn has follow-up. I felt that too. It is so upsetting to watch. I don't know what to do to help. And there's not really anything you can do to help other than to be your son's support, and try to be as authentic to him. I feel like the more you sit there and try to push him in one way or the other, he'll step away. But if you're there and, I'm going to say you do a certain amount of hand holding, and giving him, guidance and advice, then that's really all you can do. They're adults, and that's really all you can do. Okay, so now Nancy says nope, so I don't really know what that means, so I'll keep going. Okay, so this Sindoni guy who they were asking me about before claims he found the back entrance to Talos, the underground Atlantean Lemurian civilization under Mount Shasta. He solved the legend of J.C. Brown, or so he claimed. Well, that's pretty good. I don't really have particular comment to that. One of the things that I do speak on when I'm talking about ancient mysteries is when you look at the mythic record, there are no stories that support the Atlantis narrative that you find in Plato's work. And so I have some issues with that. Now, Lemuria, I have less problems with because there was a great civilization that was in the Pacific, and that's where the Lemurians supposedly were, and they don't have a narrative of their culture being destroyed. So I don't know. I don't, when I hear stuff like this, it makes my BS meter kind of jump up, and go, maybe, maybe not, or more, maybe not. Show me the evidence, provide me with a document, and I will feel much more comfortable. Okay, so James wants to know, will there be a change in my location anytime soon? Okay, so I'm kind of predicting the future, but let me see if I can kind of shift this around. So one, James, I'm not really feeling like you are looking to move particularly. So you're asking this question, but I don't feel like there's any energy behind it. I don't get the impression that you really looked at other places. I don't feel like where you're at now is creating that much discord in you that would propel you or make you desire to go somewhere else. And so I guess my answer to that would be no, that you are not going to be changing locations anytime soon. Okay. And so Ken wants to know, what do I think about the legends of Mount Shasta? Um, I mean, I haven't really investigated the legends of Mount Shasta. I mean, I do believe that, it has or is a hotspot for UFOs and has been, part of that whole tradition. I mean, I have heard stories that that's kind of like a Nordic hangout. Um, and I don't necessarily doubt that, especially with the amount of activity that has been seen in present times. It wouldn't surprise me if there was an underground base going into, like you did mention, the entrance to the underground base, that if there was an entrance to an underground base there, um, which is interesting because you hear stories of underground bases and underground civilizations that come out of Native American cultures. Um, and actually in India, so that is a common cosmology that you do find around the world. All right, so let's see. All right, Nancy, any messages for me? What do you get from me and things going on with my life? Do you feel things will change? Do you feel my energy overloaded? I got a lot going on right now. I feel like I need some major meditation to release some of my energy of overload. So Nancy, I feel like you should like contact me and schedule a private consultation, and we can do some energy work and kind of maybe kind of sort through some of that. Um, but I'm going to respond to your question in a very specific way. So, Nancy, I get the impression that you take on everybody else's energy and you take on everybody else's stuff. And so, we're talking about mindfulness. And so, I would love for you to become mindful about how you use your energy. Do I use my energy to take care of me and take care of my stuff? Or am I using my energy to help other people and take care of their stuff? Because once you can separate out how much of your energy you're using to fix everybody else and then stop or minimize or back out of it, then you won't be on so much overload. I get the impression that people just think it's like, oh, well, there's Nancy here. We're going to dump our dump truck of junk in front of you and let you sort through it and figure it all out. And no, you don't have to do that because it's not fair to you. They're not doing anything and you're on overload. And so, since our topic is mindfulness, I think that would be a perfect practice for you to start raising your awareness of how much energy you're using for yourself and how much of your energy you're giving away to other people. It's one thing to give your energy away to other people. However, if it's not ever reciprocated, then it's really unhealthy. Very quick story. I used to run a psychic fair in Washington State and taught classes in person. And so I was doing a class, and this one woman who would come to the fairs, and she really didn't have a lot of money. I invited her. Actually, she didn't come to the fair. She would go to this healing circle. And so I invited her to take the class because I felt like one she could really use, and I just wanted to extend it to her. She was a lovely woman. And I could tell that she felt so guilty about getting the class for free, and I'm like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then a few months later, because I used to run the fair, she comes to the fair and she gives me this little thing wrapped in tissue paper. And I open it up and it's an angel magnet. And she looked at me and she goes, because you're an angel to me. And even though the course cost several $100s, that little angel made up and more for everything that I had given her. So it doesn't have to be a one-to-one exchange, but there should be some kind of reciprocation so that your banks get full and you're not just loaning out money to everybody. Okay. All right, Nancy. Hope that answers your question. Okay. So, all right, let's see. So just a little follow up for Lynn. That's what I feel too so much. I appreciate your time and energy. I'm just going to have to sit back and wait for him to come to me. Thanks so much. You are so welcome, Lynn. And this is an open forum. So if you want to come back, or if you want if you could get your son to come and ask the question, I would be happy to answer him directly because I have no filters sometimes. Okay. All right. So Mary, it says, this is a big year. I feel any life events, if any, coming into play, looking for direction. So Mary, that's kind of predicting the future, which I don't do, but I agree with you. There's something that feels really positive about 2023. And I don't know why, because the last 2 years have like really blown. And anything that feels better feels good. One of the things that I can do is timeline, and I feel like your year, without getting specific, is actually kind of calm, kind of smooth. When it gets into the summer and fall, I feel like there's going to be some things that are going to be happening that are going to create some anxiety with you. But I feel like they're manageable for you. So all in all, not a bad year. So, okay. Don't do numerology, Veronica. So, if there's a question, but if it's about numerology, I don't have an answer. Although I can make it up, I'm sure. Okay, we're going to go back to Ken, because this is going out to my YouTube channel where I talked about ancient mysteries, conspiracies, UFOs, healing, all kinds of weird stuff. All right. Ooh, we only got 1 minute and I'm starting to cough. All right, let me grab a lozenge and then I'm going to answer Ken's question. And then we are going to wrap it up for today because we're almost out of time. So I think the Father Crespi collection is real. I'd love to see more of it, but I don't know what happened to it. It seems like it's all but disappeared. And I have to tell you, I did that interview with Eric Von Däniken, and it was awkward. It was just really awkward, and, I was really looking forward to it, but it didn't move or flow in the way that I thought or I hoped. So, and so he didn't bring it up. I didn't bring it up. It was all good. It was Eric Van Däniken. And if you kind of look on my Facebook post, there is actually a picture of me giving him rabbit ears. Oops. I didn't take the picture and someone else posted it, but I did do it. Oopsie. Okay, let's see. Going back again. Okay, so thank you. All right, so our time's up. I want to thank, let's see if I can make this actually. All right. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and I will be here again next week. My name is Dr. Rita Louise. If you'd like to schedule a private consultation, you can visit my webpage, soulhealer.com. You can find me on Facebook, Dr. Rita Louise on Facebook, or you can go to my YouTube channel, Just Energy Radio on YouTube. That's Just Energy Radio on YouTube. Until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise. Be blessed.